Hello lovelies, how are you all? Oh my goodness, I am so excited, I can't tell you. So I am going to give you a big waffling rant about my exciting weekend. If you're just here for the recipe, which, can I just say, is amazing. It will be later on in this video. I just need to have a little chin wag with you guys first. So if you're just here for the recipe, check out the description box below and I'll give the time that the actual food bit starts. So if you're not interested in the waffle, that's fine. I won't be at all offended. Please whiz forward and go get that recipe, guys. It's amazing. So for the rest of you, excuse me, I'm sat in Myrtle, the Volkswagen camper van, and I'm absolutely freezing. So I'm snuggled up in my blanket. So some of you know, and thank you everybody for your messages over the last few days. Oh my goodness, it's actually been really emotional, I have to say. So I just kind of want to share my adventure over the bank holiday weekend. It's been crazy. So months ago, I got an email saying, "Hi, really love the blog. We're running this great competition. Really hope that you enter." Now, at this point, food bloggers in the UK, we get a lot of these emails, and they generally go along the lines of, "Hi, I really love your blog. I've read it every day since 1937. My favourite recipe is insert recipe here. We're running this great competition and we'd love for you to enter. All you need to do to enter is write 6 recipes with professionally shot photographs that we'll own copyright of. Then you need to share these recipes on 47 social media platforms with these 16 hashtags. And you could be in with a chance to win a £2.49 bag of popcorn." For real? I know there's bloggers out there going, "Yeah, she's right. It's true. I got them." So this email didn't ring any alarm bells of that nature, but when you've got a to-do list with 27,000 things on it that have to be done by midday, as a self-employed person, it's like, yeah, okay, I might enter that, but let's get on with the real paying work. A few days later, I'm in a Facebook group for UK food bloggers. A girl called Nicola Corbishley comes on, Nikki. And I have to say at this point, I don't know her. I've never met her. We've chatted in the group before, but I've never met her. Scouts on her. And she just said, just to let you all know that the Neff Cookaholics competition is open again for entries for 2017. She said, that's a competition I won last year. It's been a crazy year. It's been a fantastic experience. And I really, really hope that you guys enter. So I'm like, oh, okay. That's that email I got. Oh. So I went and dug out the email and entered. All I did was send in a recipe that I'd already written and blogged. So I just sent the link in and I answered a few questions, and I think that was it. I sent it off and promptly forgot all about it. Then a few months later, I get an email back from them saying, "Oh, congratulations, you're through to the semi-finals." I was one of 8 that had been picked. And for the next stage of the competition, we had to create a 5-minute video talking about our passion for food and why we should win the Neff Cookaholic Championship. So I thought I could do the video in Myrtle, like I do for you guys. I could make them a nice little recipe and tell them a nice little story and stuff. But I thought actually the root of my passion, the real reason that I am a foodie, is because I grew up on a farm and I still live on that farm, and I'm really, really lucky. So 6:30 in the morning, I went out with my phone on a selfie stick. My name's Jane and I own a selfie stick. So I went round the farm, and in the video I talked about my polytunnels and the allotments and the orchards that my dad planted, and I took them down to the duck pond to meet my ducks. We met the chickens. They loved the chickens. So that was that. Sent it off, and again, I didn't really think much of it. Then I get an email saying, "Hi, congratulations, you're through to the finals." So as a finalist, I was one of 2, and we had to both go to the big Feastival. For those that don't know, the big Feastival is a food and music festival that was started by Jamie Oliver and Alex James, who was the bass player from Blur. My tummy's rumbling. I'm a foodie and I haven't had breakfast. I've never been to the big Feastival before. Oh my God. If you love food half as much as I do, then you need to go. Oh my God. As someone that can't eat dairy products, I ate like a queen all weekend. I'm getting sidetracked by the food again. Fancy that. Anyway, on Saturday, Johnny and I had to travel up. It's near Oxford. So we had to travel up in Myrtle. She was a good girl. She made it. She didn't break down. Thanks, Myrtle. And I had to be there for 10 a.m. with the knowledge that at 3:30 p.m. I had to be on stage and cook my recipe for the crowd. Yikes! So we turned up and eventually got in, and I met the team from Neff, who, can I just say, they're like BFFs already. They knew we were both cacking it. Let me just tell you about the recipe. So the recipe brief was, it had to be a 1-pot pasta dish. What do I cook for you guys in the camper van all the time? 1 pot. I'm like, I've got to win this. This is fate. If I can't win a 1-pot cooking contest, then do you know what? I don't deserve to have a YouTube channel. So, 1-pot pasta dish. Had to have 1 form of protein. It had to have at least 2 vegetables. It needed spices and it needed toppings. It had to be ready in 30 minutes, and it had to have a secret ingredient in. Now, the secret ingredient had to be sourced from one of the traders at the big Feastival. Oh, and the most important bit was that it can't be an Italian themed dish, even though it's pasta. Tricksy. As you know, I know my 1-pot cooking. I also know Asian food pretty damn well because I eat it a lot. It's really quick. It doesn't contain lactose generally, and did I mention it's really quick? So, if I'd had more than 30 minutes on stage, then I would have made my own pasta. The whole visual element of making pasta is like, it's extraordinarily cool. I love making pasta. It's really therapeutic as well. I'm really glad, because it was such a hot day, I'm really glad I didn't have to make pasta, because it's like a workout. It's proper physical. But one of the traders, Francesco from the Cooking Cooks, Francesco, man, I love you. Your pasta won it for me. Seriously. Francesco runs a street food stall and a company that makes Italian, proper pucca, authentic Italian handmade pasta. And he sells, I think he sells it to restaurants and things. So I knew this guy knew his pasta. And he just happened to be trading at the big Feastival. So I had a look through his website and I saw that Pappardelle is one of the pastas that he uses a lot on his street food truck. So I thought, oh, Pappardelle, that's a lovely pasta. It's the thick ribbon. It's really beautiful. It's a lovely texture. Visually, it's really good as well because, you know, there's going to be cameras and an audience and stuff. So I built the recipe around Pappardelle, and at this point, I have to tell you that at the festival, Francesco gave me a little Italian lesson. Pappardelle. Pappardelle. It's a Pappardelle. I love it. Francesco, I love you. Where was I? So 10 a.m. we get there. 3:30 I'm on stage. In between, I'm interviewed. I'm getting mic'd up. The amount of guys that had their hand up my top with a microphone, I tell you. And then an hour and a half or 2 hours before we have to be on at stage at 3:30, we have to go into our little prep tent. I'm just going to name drop. Jamie Oliver was using our prep tent the day before. Jamie, that's fine, mate. You crack on. Need any help with your carrots? So we turn up. I don't know whether to tell you this bit. We turn up at our little prep tent and there's a female body asleep on the floor/grass. Facing away from us. Can only see her derriere. No clue who the derriere belongs to. And I'm not telling you any names, but I will tell you that that beautiful comatose form on the floor is one of my food heroes. I love her. She'd gone out the night before at the festival with a certain festival owner, got absolutely hammered. This form asleep on the floor was her dying of a hangover, and this is really going to give it away for those that were at the festival, but this lovely comatose lady on the floor was actually on stage just before our cook-off, and I will tell you that she was a little bit too poorly to even go on stage. Like, she's hardcore. I'm telling you, this girl rocks. Anyway, eventually they turf this body out of the prep tent, and then myself and my lovely home economist Lynn start prepping. So I have one portion of the recipe to cook, and I part cook it, like I can prep it beforehand. So I've cooked the pasta and I've browned the duck, so that I can then go on stage and just finish off the recipe, because they're going to be talking and interviewing us and it's going to be scary, and they don't want us to have to cook the whole recipe on stage, which I really appreciated. And then Lynn, she multiplied my recipe by 5, and so she's making it on a big scale, And then the recipe that she makes is then portioned up into little sample pots, and those are the ones that are handed out to the audience, not my food that I cook on stage. So we prep the food. Halfway through prepping the food, another guy comes in, shoved his hand up my top with another microphone, and I go, so I go off for another 20 minutes and get interviewed, and it's starting to get real now, people. All of a sudden we're getting mic'd up with this like Star Trek microphone, you know, the ones that go around the head and they have a little bit of wire out here. So we're getting mic'd up with those. I can feel myself getting really nervous again. Whew, coffee. And then all of a sudden we're being called to go on stage. Now I'm going to pop in a photo of the stage that we're on here. How scary! So we go up on stage and there's video cameras everywhere. There's guys with like big cameras like in your face, and there's Nikki Corbishley, last year's winner. She was on stage with us, and there was also another lady whose name I honestly can't remember. We then get down to business. We cook our dish, we answer questions. I give some of the most stupid answers that you've ever heard in your life, but I try and be this me, not the oh my god I'm on stage me. So I'm having a bit of banter with the audience and stuff. And at one point the lady with the mic, the compere, whose name I can't remember, she the samples are brought out from around the back and they're handed around the audience, and she goes down stage with the mic and she goes straight up to Johnny and says, "And what do you think? Who are you going to vote for?" And he goes, "Oh, red, definitely. This is really tasty." And I'm like, "That's my fella. You can't ask him." Johnny was very good. Cheers, Johnny. He so didn't fess up, but I did. I went, "Excuse me, that's my boyfriend." So she kind of discounted that answer. People taste my food. People taste my lovely competitor's food, and she did a lovely Greek meatball dish, which apparently John said was really good. And then the audience had to vote. So they all had these inflatable like stick things. One was red, one was white. Because of my lovely red hair, apparently I was red. Also the fact that my face was beetroot by this point probably helped. So I was red, and Jess, my competitor, she was white. And then they got the audience to stick up in the air what colour they thought was the best food, red or white. I kid you not, looking out at that audience, it was 50-50. There was one pocket of white over here, which I tried to, like, I couldn't look at them. They kind of scared me, so I looked everywhere else, and there was like, it was just a sea of red and white. We're like, oh my god, will this ever end? Then they asked last year's winner, Nikki, to taste both of our dishes on stage and to vote on what one. So Nikki tastes both of our dishes, and then she's asked which one is her favourite, and she says, "Mine." These are tears of joy, I promise. So that was that. I was crowned champion. After more photos, I was whisked off stage, champagne bottle thrust in hand. I was interviewed again, more mics up there. Yeah, you get the idea. Oh, interviewed and papped all over again. Like, I haven't even looked at my mirror for like 8 hours. I'd sweated off any makeup I had on. I was a mess. Don't judge me too harshly if you see the official photos. And that was kind of that, really. We then got to spend the rest of the weekend at the big Feastival, which was amazing. And I had strangers coming up to me all weekend, or coming up to me and Johnny, and they're like, "Oh, were you the lady that won the competition? Congratulations." I'm like, oh my god. Oh, it's so weird. So the prize, it's £10,000 worth of Neff kitchen equipment, which is very cool. I write recipes for a living, and my current oven was £26 on eBay. It's, for me, the prize of all the shinier kitchen equipment is lovely. Please don't get me wrong, I do want it Neff, but for me the biggest coup is 100% is about getting to work with Neff for the next 12 months as their reigning champion. If there was a kitchen brand that a foodie like myself wanted to work with, Neff would be pretty high up the list, right? I am so freaking excited, honestly. So there you go, guys. If you've lasted this long, congratulations. So I'm going to go and prep for the recipe, and then I'm going to come back and cook you my winning Asian duck pappardelle. I really hope you guys give it a go. I really hope you enjoy it. And once again, thank you all for just the loveliest comments I've been getting. I am an emotional wreck at the moment, and I've been crying lots at all the lovely messages. So thank you. Oh, she's off again. So without further ado, I'm going to disappear, and with the magic of video, I shall be back soon with the recipe. Until then, mwah, bye. Okay, we are back. As far as I'm concerned, the magic key to cooking Asian food, and please take this with a very large grain of non-Asian salt, because this isn't the food that I was brought up eating. This is what I've learnt to love from travelling and from being lactose intolerant, and this is the food I love because it's so quick. But the reason it's quick is because you need to do some prep work beforehand. If you put your duck in and then you have to chop up your veg, it's going to stew or it's going to overcook. Or so pretend you're Delia, get all your little bowls out, pop all your ingredients in. This way the actual cooking part can be really, really quick. It's a one-pan recipe, so I've actually already cooked the pasta in this pan, and then I've given it a quick rinse out. The pasta is here, and I then tossed it in toasted sesame oil. Now obviously you don't have to keep this as a one-pan dish. You could have a pan with your pasta in, that's fine, and make the sauce separately, but because this was a one-pan dish I had to do it in just the one pan. So pretend that I've now cooked the pasta in front of you there, drained it, tossed it in sesame oil. That's sat there waiting, ready to go in again. So the bits that you need to prep are, you need to get your minced duck. You can also use minced pork, minced turkey, whatever you like really. So my mince is actually broken, so I've sat there painstakingly whilst watching Netflix, chopping up my duck thigh really, really small. But you want to get your minced meat marinating in your soy sauce and fish sauce. So at least 10 minutes, it can be an hour, it can be longer, just obviously keep it somewhere cool while it's marinating. Get your pasta ready cooked and get all your veggies chopped up. Oh, the other thing I've done is I've made the stock. Now in the recipe I've used dashi, which is a Japanese stock made from bonito, which I think is salted fish. It's definitely dried fish anyway. I'm all out of that, so I've actually used some porcini or shiitake would also work, some dried mushrooms, and just boil the kettle, pop a few of the mushrooms in a cup or a jug, pop some boiling water over, and just leave them at least 10 minutes, preferably half an hour, but you're going to get flavour however long you leave it, to be fair. If you haven't got dried mushrooms, you haven't got dashi, then use a little bit of water. It's not going to be the end of the world, you're still going to get some good food and good flavours. So let's get rid of that. My pan is now hot. Heat up a teaspoon or so of oil. I'm using ghee as always, but use whatever oil you like. I've got a feeling we're going to get smoked out again today. Remember that steak I cooked? I can see the smoke already. So when your oil is in and spread evenly across your pan, pop your meat in, stand back. Put your duck in, spread it out a little bit and then back off. What you want to do is you want the underneath to start caramelising and going a little bit crispy. If you get straight in there and start stirring it, then you're going to lose that option, that chance of getting the nice little crispy bits. So chuck it in and leave it. So I think duck is a very underused ingredient in this country. I think we use it for fancy dishes, like when we're trying to impress or have a dinner party, or if we're going out for Chinese and we get the duck pancakes. But it's lovely flavoured meat. Don't be scared of using it. And please do me a favour, if you're going to use duck, chicken or pork, please, please, please make sure it's from free-range animals. When you've lived on a farm and you've seen how animals live as a community and how they use the land and the water, and please, please, please don't support farming practices that don't allow animals to have a life where they can actually be themselves. Being cooped up in a cage or a barn, it's no life. Sermon over. Okay, we got some good colour and good flavour now, so give that a good stir around. Start breaking the meat up. As you can see, it's all sticking together, that's fine. But all those little caramelised bits in there, they're going to bring a lovely flavour and a bit more texture to the final dish. So do try and get those if you can. And I'm using duck thigh. You could easily use duck breast, but I just think that the thigh's got a little bit more fat in it, a little bit more oil, so it's going to be moister and have more flavour. But it's still going to taste great with duck breast. So next we are putting in spring onion, coriander stalks. If you haven't got the stalks, just chop up the leaf, that's fine. I just don't want you to throw the stalks away because there's so much flavour in them. Red chilli, these are the chilies that are about that big in the supermarket. If you use tiny ones, they're going to be really, really hot. For 3 people, I've used one big one and it will bring a lovely level of heat, not too much heat. I've also got the ginger. I think that's everything that's in there. Read the recipe below, you'll get all the quantities for this dish down below. And after 30 seconds, pop in your veggies. Now I'm using broccoli broken up into tiny little florets and spinach, but use whatever you want. None of this recipe is written in stone. Okay, that's all that needs. Next we're going to put in the peanut butter. So my jar's nearly empty, so that's as much as I've got, I'm afraid. Now, push this down into the pan. It's not going to melt into a sauce, but just kind of start to break it down and mix with the ingredients, because then what you're going to do is pour in the stock. If you're using dried mushrooms, you never want to empty the bottom of the stock out, because if there's any grit held in the gills of the mushrooms, then that's all going to sit at the bottom. So ideally use a spoon. I forgot to bring a spoon with me. And you don't really want the mushrooms in there too. I don't really like wasting things, but in this instance, we don't want the mushrooms in because they do make it slimy. Ask me how I know that. Okay, that's it. We're done. I'm going to pop the pasta in. I'm going to sit down, pat myself on the back because we're done. Yes! When you come to serve, you want some crushed salted peanuts, some chopped coriander leaf and wedges of lime to squeeze over the top of each dish. And that, my friends, is it. My competition winning Asian duck pappardelle. As always, if you try this recipe or any of my others, please, please, please share a photo with me on social media. You can find me across the internet as @Hedgecomber. And if you've enjoyed this recipe, then please share it with your friends that are into camping too. Thank you again for all the support I've got over this competition, this recipe, and my channel in general. I love you all loads, and I look forward to making another recipe for you soon. Until then, happy camping!